Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Tattoo Homewreckers. This is a podcast where we talk about tattoos, life, and everything in between. My name is Callista, and this is
Gaia.
And today, we're here. You didn't laugh. I'm really proud of you. I am really proud of you. I do wonder how many times, you do the clap thing, and then people just see you wince while I'm doing the intro. I do wonder if people see that for the first time, and they're like, what's going on?
Wow, she must hate her.
She must hate the intro. Mm-hmm. But today we're here to talk about a message that we got from one of our wrecking balls.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Should I just start off by reading it out?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we're just going to read it and then we'll answer it. And it's got quite a few questions. So we'll kind of I'll take down some notes and then we'll go through question by question.
Yes.
And I just want to clear, we are not life coaches. We are not psychologists. Mm-mm. So everything we say, we are not doctors. So everything we say is based on our personal experience, and we're not telling you how to live your life. So, bam,
we're just two gays doing their best, okay? Yes. That's quite literally it. But thank you for, asking. I'm just going to read this out. So, it says, "Hi, guys. It was great seeing you two at Pride. I really enjoy hearing your guys' struggles and successes with your tattooing, fitness, and mental health journeys. I was wondering if you could do an episode on starting new habits, staying disciplined when motivation falters, and getting back on track when you slip up, and the role that neurodivergence or past trauma has played in that, if you're comfortable with it." And yes, we are. The internet knows all of my secrets at this point. Thank you so much. It was also so good seeing you at Pride, and I'm very, very excited to delve into it. I know you are too.
Yeah, this is
some of our favorite
huge thing for me. So I made her. Yes. My copy of this book is at home, at work, my other home. And of course,
basically,
the place I spend more time at than home.
Yep.
But all of us have copies of this because Atomic Habits by James Clear is a book that we all live by. And
we've quoted it in the podcast quite a few times, but I'm happy to give it another shout out.
Big-a-bam. This book right here.
Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yes.
It is a life changer.
Yeah, and we will include a link of on Amazon, just because that's the easiest place. Or actually, I'll probably just put the link to James Clear's website.
That's perfect.
Because it has tons of resources, but he walks you through how you start establishing habits, how it honestly comes back to your reason why, and building those habits is based around that. So even just starting a habit is super difficult if you don't have a reason why. So for me, I'm going to take over for a second.
Please do. Oh, please do.
I struggled a lot with fitness, a lot with it because I never identified as an athlete. And when I started doing CrossFit, my coaches would always call us athletes. And it was something that I struggled with, that identity where I was well, I'm not an athlete. And I've since done that for anyone else that I coach, that I'm always calling them athletes, because I'm no, the more we get you to think like an athlete, the more you will ask yourself when you're making decisions, whether it's okay, do I take the elevator? Do I take the stairs? Do I just spend all day not moving off the couch? Now, granted, those days are good for you, but not every day is like that. Or would an athlete say, hey, let me take my dog on a 5-minute walk just so I can get outside, get some body moving? So really taking that identity and then really solidifying that for yourself, because then every single action you take towards that solidifies that. So now, we went out to dinner and I ate a salad, not because I'm trying to make a point, but because I know my body enough at this point. And it takes a long time. It doesn't happen overnight. But now I know that hey, I'm going to feel better if I eat a salad. Now, I won't always feel better. Sometimes I'm no, I'm going to feel like shit if I eat a salad because I'm really hungry and I want carbs. But today I knew that hey, that's what's going to make me feel better tomorrow.
Yep. Absolutely. Can we circle back on the why?
Yeah.
Why it's important to establish a why before you start a new habit?
Well, that's what's going to get you back on track, because it's inevitable that you're going to come off of it. So anyone who follows me on Instagram, I posted up yesterday how I've lost the consistency, which we'll talk about that in a second. But the consistency of doing maintenance, i.e. yoga, it's just what CrossFitters call maintenance or call yoga.
Yep.
But doing maintenance daily, and I can feel the difference in my body. And so even though I know it's good for me, life gets crazy. That's 20 minutes out of my day I'm not spending doing something else. And so for me, public accountability is really important. And it's really important to me, the why of I do that because it makes me feel good and I identify as somebody who is a healthy individual. And part of like health is flexibility and mobility. So like that to me is a huge thing of like knowing your why and really digging into that, because that's that part that when you stop doing that habit, it's going to be what gets you back on track. No one else can come in and be like, hey, you need to do this. You have to like do it for yourself.
I mean, I love this, the whole knowing your why, because it also applies to tattooing. We've talked about it in our apprenticeship podcast that if you are going into this career, so it's not just habits, but it's career stuff too. If you're going into a career, especially tattooing, because we see it a lot, because you think it's cool and it'll get you brownie points by your friends or your peers or whatever the fuck, and that's the only reason why you're going into this career field, you are going to fall apart really quick because the shit's intense. It is so much more intense than you think. And so it's the same thing with building a new habit. So we'll say you want to build a new habit of like working out every day. Now, there are some people who decide to build off of that habit because they've just gone through a breakup and they want that revenge body. It can flip either way. That can start out as your why, and then you can find out that you do love fitness. But a lot of people who do try to do the revenge body thing end up falling right off of that wagon so fast because their why isn't concrete enough.
Well, it's not internal. It's not here. It doesn't
external.
come. Yeah, it's about external validation.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I've seen cases where people want the revenge body, but then all of a sudden they're like, wait a second. But like, I've noticed that when I do work out, like I genuinely feel better about myself. Yeah. I feel better about life. I feel better about A, B, C, and D. And that's great. So I don't know. It's one of those things where like, maybe sit down and adjust habit-wise before you get into it, why you're doing some habits.
Can I give an example of the opposite side of that?
Yes.
So, like, I've wanted a six-pack my whole life. I grew up where that was, like, the aesthetic, like Christina Aguilera, like, that sort of, like, you want flat abs. And it works the other way. So, I want a six-pack. Rad. Great. Wonderful. I do not want the lifestyle that goes along. I do not want the habits that go along with having and maintaining a six-pack.
Yeah.
That means like not being able to like be as loose with my diet. That also means having to be a lot more diligent and consistent on the gym through those periods when I have lulls.
Yep.
So like my weight does fluctuate, tends to fluctuate about like now because I've established good habits by about 5 to 10 pounds throughout the year. But so it's not like a large amount that's going to like affect me like physiologically, but it's enough that like the moment it starts like going in one direction or the other, like if I start getting too lean and then I'm being too restrictive, because that's not what I want. So understanding like, are your goals something you want to live every day? Because that's the thing with habits is it's not like, hey, I got here, done, I don't have to do this anymore. Kind of like saving for your retirement. You can't just be like, okay, I'm going to do this for 6 months and then I'm good for retirement. Nah, boo, you got to do it forever. So looking at it and saying, hey, is this something that I want to build in? Now the caveat to that, because for me at this stage, it's not worth it. I want to be able to like have a drink with my friends. I want to be able to eat chocolates. We'll get into like motivation in a second because I literally have chocolate on this desk right now to get me to do this podcast. But understanding like, do I really want this because of my why, or do I want this because external validation?
Right. Absolutely. I think we should get into discipline before I get into like the neurodivergent stuff, because that's something that we both for sure know. So we talked about your why. And now we're going to talk about the reward system kind of for building a habit. So you have chocolate on the desk. Do you want to talk about why? Why you have chocolate on the desk?
Because it is currently 9:20 at night, and I've had a full day. I went to therapy this morning. I went to work.
You had I had the gym, long day.
I had dinner with friends, which though it's amazing, it was a really long day. Like I spent 13 hours out of the house. And then we came home and immediately rolled into this because she's got plans tomorrow, which is great. But that meant that I'm like, cool, you record tonight because you know it's going to make the rest of her weekend easier, my weekend easier. It's going to be great. And this is something that's like really important to me, so I don't want to miss it. But I will then, like everything they tell you not to do in a magazine where you reward yourself with food, fuck that. If you are like me and you love food, or really if you're neurodivergent and you know that chocolate is a motivator because it's a quick fix of dopamine, I am allowed 3 technically I'm an adult. I can fucking eat as many as I want. But for me to feel like good and happy.
Still aligned with your values, right? Yes.
3 Reese cups. Mm-hmm. And then I ate 1 so that way I could get that initial dopamine. And then I have these 2 so that way if I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore, then I can be like, have a piece of chocolate, continue on.
Yeah, press
on. And I reward myself after I'm done with it. Yes. But I reward myself a little bit before I start. So that way I don't say, fuck it, I'll just eat all of it right now.
Absolutely. So one of the things that James Clear writes about in Atomic Habits that has always stuck with me is that whole thing of like rewarding yourself. It's basically like dressing up your habits so that way it's attractive to you. And so I do that with laundry. I fucking hate doing laundry. I hate folding it and I hate putting it away. It's awful. I've had laundry in the guest room for like a week now. I need to take care of that tonight. But what I will do to kind of prep myself for laundry is I will light a candle in my room. So that way it's more attractive to be in there. And then most times I'll listen to music or I'll just put on something on the TV just so that way I'm still getting a dopamine fix because laundry takes away all of my spoons. It's fucking awful. So you dress it up. You can totally dress it up however you want. Reward yourself. You deserve it. What else? Gosh, I was getting onto something else and I totally forgot.
I have no idea.
Okay, that's totally
the
fine.
other thing that James also discusses is habit stacking. So if you already have a good habit, so it's like, hey, you're really good about brushing your teeth and you're trying to build in a beauty regime. So you're like, wash your face. Because if you're like me, you hate washing your face because it's overstimulating to like get your hands wet and then your face gets wet and it feels like everything in the entire world gets wet and it's awful and it's stressful. And sometimes taking a shower is really hard. I know you also are like that like sometimes showering is just too much. It's too overstimulating. Can't do it. Don't have enough spoons.
100%. But
what you can do is you can say, hey, I'm going to brush my teeth. And then right after I brush my teeth, because that is a habit I'm really good at, then I will wash my face. And you build those. So you stack them into other things.
Yep.
And that's part of the like making it attractive is also making it easy. So if you're like, hey, I will always forget, especially if you're neurodivergent and like out of sight is truly out of mind with us.
Yeah.
Like 100%. If you put it away, we're not going to get back to it. So having it out so it's really easy to see. So like Caboose's example of this as of late, because we got really big into Kelly Starrett's book, which now I can't remember the fucking name for it, but it's a great book. Built to Move. It talks about like the importance of balance as you start getting older, really throughout your whole life, but we lose it as we get older. And Caboose doesn't have the best balance. So he put a balance block right in front of his sink. And then when he brushes his teeth, he balances. So right there, he's stacked that habit into something he already does twice a day, which is what you should be doing for your balance, like to maintain and or increase is to be doing it twice a day. So it makes that a lot easier for him and it just lives on the floor. That's it. And it's like, it sounds really simple, but unless you, like someone tells you that, you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't think about that ever. Because it's one of those genius ideas that sounds like, oh, duh. But like none of us did it, or at least I didn't before I read James's book. And I was like, oh, shit.
No, habit stacking is super, I mean, honestly, again, like I said, like I keep saying, changed my life. I remember finally, yeah.
Yes.
So
I figured you'd come back to it.
Thank you so much for that. You bought me time. When it comes to dressing up your habits and stuff like that, I also do this thing. I forget what exactly he calls it, but basically when I think to myself, a lot of the time it has to do with food because nutrition is one of those things that is in my core values because that helps me work out. It helps fuel my body so that way I'm able to work out and I'm able to like exert the amount of energy I want to and intensity that I want to hit in my workouts. But one of the things I do, I still love junk food. I fucking am obsessed with, this is gonna gross out so many of you. I love the Impossible Whopper from Burger King. Come for me, I don't fucking care. I don't care. It's easy, it's fast, and it's a fucking burger that I can eat.
So stinky.
Anyways, anyhoozles. A lot of the times I'm like, fuck, but I haven't eaten anything like healthy today. I haven't eaten natural produce. So what I will do is I'll make a bargain with myself and I'll just tell myself, okay, I am going to eat this amount of broccoli. And if I'm still hungry afterwards, I will for sure order the burger. And guess what? Sometimes I am still hungry and I fucking order that thing. Yeah. And other times my body's like, girl, thank you so much for giving me broccoli. Cause like we would have not been okay. I'm like, thank you. Appreciate it. So you kind of have to bargain with yourself. I don't know if I hope that's not an eating disorder.
No, that's not. That's a very normal, healthy way of handling that.
Okay, because it's like I'm almost coaching. Like adult Callista is telling child Callista, you will get the Burger King if you do this for me first. If you're still hungry. So
100%. Yeah. It's the same. I do that because like I feel like that about Frosties. Mm-hmm. So then like when I go to the dentist, I'm like, okay, you go to the dentist and you reward yourself with a Frosty afterwards.
Oh yeah.
And I don't always want the Frosty afterwards, but it got me to go to the fucking dentist.
Grocery shopping, I have to have Starbucks.
No, I'm not going grocery shopping.
I have to have Starbucks before I go grocery shopping or while we're at Target getting stuff for the house. I need to have Starbucks. That is a like non-negotiable.
Yeah, so you find what it is that's going to motivate you and then you use those things. Now, obviously, within those parameters of like whatever your goal is, like for me, it's being able to fuel my body correctly, which is why I have a limit on that where I'm like, okay, 3 of those. Now, some days I have no spoons. Some days I have no energy and I like have nothing left in me. And those are the days when I'm like, oh yeah, there's like fucking Reese cup wrappers all over the house. Yep. Because I will eat like 10 Reese cups that day. Mm-hmm. Now, the next day, my physical body doesn't feel super good. Mm-hmm. So then I'll like cut back for a couple of days, but it's what got me through that day.
Right. Can we talk about getting in the habit of forgiving and being kind to yourself when you fall off too? Because that was something that our dear Wrecking Ball did bring up is how we handle being neurodivergent and having trauma while also trying to manage like keeping in touch with these habits, but also how do we react to falling off on these habits? Well, let me tell you a story.
This episode has been brought to you by the Grand Prismatic Springs. If you're not interested in seeing things with your eyes as a tourist, and you want to imagine the grandness, the prismaticness, and the springiness of the Grand Prismatic Spring, then you should come on down and observe, nay, imagine the beauty of the Grand Prismatic Springs. They're grand, maybe. Prismatic, probably. And possibly even a spring. Close your eyes or keep them open, because it's the same either way at the Grand Prismatic Springs.
This episode is brought to you by Captain Callista's Fish Sticks. Are you tired of fish sticks being made out of one type of fish? Or worse yet, not knowing the fish your fish stick is made out of? Well, here at Captain Callista's, we offer our fish sticks in a multitude of fish flavors for your sophisticated palate. Our fish sticks include whale, seal, manatee, sea cucumber, sea turtle, and 100% white meat starfish. Visit your local grocery store and ask for Captain Callista's Fish Sticks today.
Well, let me tell you a story. This is recent because, getting ready for Pride, as you guys saw, if you follow us on social media, I was posting about all the prep. It was crazy. I hardly slept and I didn't work out. I probably worked out like once or twice a week, which is like low, probably once, I think, per week.
And the intensity for our workouts were super low.
Yes, 100%. 100%. But I could have had the option of most times, I will say this is new for me. Most instances, I would just spend all of my 2 weeks just beating myself up over it. Being like, oh my gosh, like you didn't do this. Like this is awful. You're falling off again. You're not showing up for yourself. You're not fighting for yourself. But like for once in my fucking life, I was like, no, you're tired. This makes sense.
Yep.
Trying to find that like balance of, that's the thing is like life gets crazy. When you are in the habit of working out and all of a sudden life gets crazy, you need to forgive yourself immediately for that because I feel like shame just pushes you further down the well, or at least it
absolutely.
Does.
Yeah. No, I mean, we know that it does that based on studies. So like you're not going to motivate somebody with shame.
Oh, that's huge.
So that's where,
Yes.
Like, and that shame, much of that shame comes from yourself. So it's why if people like mention the gym, they're like, oh my God, they're attacking me. Are they attacking you? Or is this a really sore subject for you right now? Like 2 weeks ago, if someone would have brought up maintenance, I'd have been like, fuck me, dude. I haven't done this. And like my body feels the difference and it hurts. Or like if somebody would comment on like our house, which is typically immaculately clean.
Yeah.
And it's what I consider to be disgusting at the moment because I have some like slight OCD about it.
Well, we didn't have free counters for the longest period of time that we've lived together. I think that was the longest period of time.
For about 3 weeks, our counters and our dining room table were just covered in Pride Prep. Yeah. So that way, that was our motivation to be like, we have to keep working at this and trudging through it.
Yes,
and to be really clear, for anyone that we gave bags to and like got Pride stuff, like we love you guys and we're not bitching about that. Like,
no, I'm so happy you guys took
our labor of love.
If we had so many left over, I would have literally broken my heart.
Yeah.
So we do this shit because we want to give it to you guys. Yeah. Like we love it. And like it is a lot of work though. We do have to acknowledge that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah. So it was crazy. You would have beaten yourself up over maintenance.
Yeah. And I for sure would have beaten myself up because I also was like, I would do like 20 push-ups and be like, this is all I got today.
There's no gas in the tank.
And that doesn't, yeah. And for me, that is not like I need some pretty high intensity, even just to regulate my own emotions.
Me too. Yeah.
And that's also where like that kind of like touches, obviously we're touching into neurodivergence constantly with this. Mm-hmm. But the thing as well with like neurodivergence is that you need a physical practice. You need something for your body to help regulate it. Now, that looks different for everyone. So I'm not saying you need to go do CrossFit, you need to do jujitsu, you need to go rock climbing. No, but you do need a physical outlet to help calm that like insane feral cat that lives inside your brain that constantly distracts you. There is plenty of science and studies behind the fact that when you are physically active, when you get your heart rate up, and that can look like walking your dog, any sort of physical activity that's just going to elevate that heart rate a little bit is going to help your brain function better.
And regulate its hormones.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It is so fucking important.
Yes.
And that's also why, like, over the last couple of weeks, I've had way more Reese cups than I typically have. Mm-hmm. And we'll touch on that in a second of, like, having things in your house when you're trying to break habits. Mm-hmm. But it's because I haven't been physically active. So my emotions and, like, my ADHD has been off the fucking charts. Like, I don't know where anything is and I'm getting like completely confused. And that's not typically how I work. And like, for me, a sign that like I'm way over the board on like ADHD and autism is that I just keep dropping things because I'm doing too much stuff that my hands are like, I forget what I'm doing. Like, I have the opposite. She breaks stuff with her hands and my hands just go, never mind.
Yeah.
And then I've knocked over 3 glasses of water in the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not paying attention. I'm just flailing everywhere. And that happens when I'm not regulated.
Yeah.
And exercise is a really, really important part of being regulated. Yep. Fruits and vegetables are too. Super vital for helping regulate your brain and your like hormones. But like the two of those together will do a world of difference.
It's huge.
To help you. Now, that being said, we didn't fucking eat super healthy or work out for the last several weeks prepping for that.
It's been takeout for God knows how long. It's still been,
it's
still takeout for me.
We keep buying salads. We ordered in food yesterday.
Yeah.
And then just looking at the fridge being like, this is too much energy.
It's too much. I don't have enough spoons to even open a bagged salad. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, totally.
But for us right now, that looks like saying, hey, I still am in line with like my values. I know what they are. They're very strong to me. So when we are ordering food, it is ordering like on the healthier side.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I truly believe that all foods can be healthy within like a diet.
Yes.
But we're not just like, hey, we're just eating cheesecake every day because I know it's going to look, I would love that for like one day and then my body would be like, you can fuck off.
You want to know what's funny? I've gotten to the point where like, gosh, I really want a pizza, but my body really doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I really wish I could eat a pizza right now, but my body's physically like, the idea of that sounds horrible.
And I just want to circle like back to that a little bit more because I don't want anyone to be like, oh, fuck, I could do that every single day. Like, we didn't start where these habits of eating healthier were a natural, normal part of us. That was not natural or like normal. I was not raised in a household where that was like a normal thing. We grew up on Hamburger Helper. Like, we did not grow up eating like whole foods. And truly, just like any other habit, just like I used to not floss because I was like, what the fuck is the point of flossing? And then my dentist was like, yo, you got good gums. You should like protect them. Keep flossing. And I started flossing and now I can't imagine not flossing. But you slowly build them. So it is that slow build of, hey, I can eat a piece of fruit every day. I can eat a veggie every day. And your taste buds will change.
Yes.
So I just want to be clear, just so anyone out there, because if you are anything like myself and you deal with eating disorders, it's hard when people are talking about food and you're like, fuck, I ate this, I ate that. It's why I try to be also really clear. I'm like, no, I'm still eating candy. I'm still
eating pizza.
Yeah, we're still eating junk food.
My body's just capped out on junk food.
Exactly. And your body will, as you introduce habits. So like today, I didn't get to walk the dogs because we worked all day. We were gone super late. So after this, I will then take at least one of the dogs on a walk. So that way my body will feel good because your body will start to crave these changes that you have and your brain will as well. So whether that's like, I want to adopt a habit of journaling every night, that can look like, cool, I'm going to spend 1 minute journaling. Like I'm absolutely exhausted. Cool. Do 1 minute. And then that 1 minute will then turn into more. And then when you do miss it, your body will be like, ooh, can we get back to that? And you will fall out of habit a lot less. And it becomes a lot easier to go back because then it's not all or nothing. It's not the 100% I have to journal for 30 minutes every night.
Yes.
If I don't do it for 30 minutes, I just will give up. Like
yes, I wanted to talk about that, the intensity of the habit. Were you about to talk about that?
You take it away.
Oh my gosh. So James Clear says that like honestly, you don't want to like max out on your habit when you're first starting. You actually want to aim for lower than you want to.
Yeah.
Because it leaves a little bit more gas in the tank, more desire to do it the next day.
Yep.
So every single time you like, it sounds weird, but if you cut yourself short a little bit more, because
it's habit edging.
It's habit edging. He doesn't say it like that, but we're going to say it like that. It's habit edging. Because, like, imagine, let's just say you want to start going to the gym. If you start going to the gym and start off with 2-hour sessions, you're going to burn out really quick. You don't want to do that. So if you're already thinking, like, 2-hour sessions, you should shorten that to, like, honestly, 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Shorten it to 30 minutes. Because then it's like, okay, I can't wait for my next 30 minutes tomorrow.
Yep.
And then once you start building that concrete schedule, you'll notice that you stay there for a little bit longer. And then a little bit longer. Like, it's crazy. Yes.
It's like for us, I mean, like if you're not a gym goer and you're just like, hey, I want to have a tidier house. It's saying you don't need to clean your house perfectly every day. You just need to straighten up the blankets and the pillows on the couch. Yeah. That's it. There can still be shit on the floor. Start there.
Yeah.
Do that for a week and then add the next thing. So you establish this consistency first and then you build on it.
Oh.
So don't try to transform your entire life all at once.
Yes.
Which is, I know, a hard thing for us. And believe me, I, even a couple years ago, was 100% or zero. Like that was it. So like this is very new for us to be able, like she said, to be forgiving when you fall out of habits and then be able to pick them back up. Because when you're not doing that, it has to be perfect.
Yes.
And we'll talk about perfectionism here in a second.
Yes.
Because that's something that a lot of neurodivergent people feel.
Yeah.
But giving yourself that like, nope, I'm just going to straighten up the couch. And sometimes that looks like me being like, I'll straighten it in the morning. And then in the morning, the first thing I do is I straighten it. And I'm like, okay, we'll make sure tonight we don't miss this again.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about, we'll circle back to the shame thing where if you think about it, like when you fall out and you're shaming yourself for falling out, that is literally just negative reinforcement for the habit you're trying to build. So you're building a habit, then you find yourself in the cycle of failing, and then you hate that feeling of failure. So then you just stop doing the habit.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that.
Caboose said it perfectly in therapy earlier.
Oh.
And he said that the reason he won't like plan things is because the fear of failure is worse than him just failing from the get-go. So like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And when he
huge.
said that, I'm not 100% sure he knows how like beautiful and eloquent that was because he said it and was like, I don't know if that makes sense. And I was like, that's fucking profound, where it's like, he would rather just not do something at all and then have like somebody be upset with him for not doing it than risk doing it and possibly fail. Whereas I am on the opposite side of that. And I'm like, whatever, I fucking tried, dude. Like, I'm not perfect. We're all fucking people. So none of us are perfect.
Yes.
But that fear of failure prevents a lot of people from even starting. And then when you do have that slight hiccup, that just confirms your like bias that you're like, well, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a failure. See, I failed.
Yeah.
Whereas like nobody, zero people, if someone tells you that they are like always at the gym 6 days a week, they either A, have something going on.
There is something that needs to be addressed because that can also be an addiction.
Yeah, that's not a healthy habit. But if they're like, yeah, I like try to aim for that, but life happens, life gets in the way. Okay, then that's a healthy, like well-adjusted
well-rounded
habit is that you're going to fall out and then you just pick it back up. There's
100%.
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Can we talk about limiting how many new habits you need to try out.
Oh,
like you said it perfectly. You're not trying to change your life all at once. Again, you want to kind of sell yourself short. That sounds weird, but like when it comes to like starting new things, you really should just focus your best on maybe a couple things at hand, not maybe a couple. I really stress on the maybe, because even building 2 habits is like pretty challenging. I feel like for a lot of people. It is for me, at least.
Absolutely. Well, it's like EC of the Consistency Project. She does nutritional like coaching, and like it's a podcast that I highly recommend. It'll change your brain on like the way that you like approach food. And what she does with any one of her clients that she's coaching is that she doesn't take anything away, because you don't want that negative like reinforcement. All she does is say, okay, so right now, if you aren't eating any fruits and veggies at all per day, we add 1 fruit.
Love that.
And then after you've like gotten that habit where like that feels easy, then you add 1 veggie. And then you slowly build up, because that's how you make lifelong changes.
Right. I totally forgot about that. The whole like the idea of, instead of like minimizing or subtracting things out of your life,
just add shit in there.
Yes. Don't frame it like that. We're reframing it as you're adding things to your life. So instead of thinking, oh no, like I am losing time playing video games because I'm going to the gym, just think about, no, I'm adding time to go to the gym, and whatever's left, I'll do video games.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm adding that like
right.
that benefit that going to the gym has.
Right.
That, like,
I'm adding a new source of dopamine, which is like going to the gym.
Yeah.
I also wanted to touch on, so when you are neurodivergent and your dopamine receptors are essentially broken, and you're trying to build a new habit, I'm going to touch back on the whole forgiveness thing, because the best example I could think of is some gym sessions when I'm alone.
Oh,
I
know where you're going.
Yes. It's so rough. You will look at a workout, look at a program, go, great, okay, I'm going to have an awesome workout. You start doing it, and for whatever fucking reason, you're bored doing it. And you're like, fuck, like, I am just not getting the stimulus I want. I'm like stalling on my movements. Like, I'm not even
everything feels
benefiting.
heavy.
Yes, I'm not even benefiting from this workout. So what I will do is I'll go ahead and change gears. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to stop doing this, because obviously it's not working out for me. And I'm not trying to, again, punish myself for anything. Gym time's supposed to be fun. Moving your body's supposed to be fun. I'm doing this to self. Yeah, it's play, right? So I'll go out and run, and then in the middle of my run, I'll get bored. And I'm like, fuck, okay, I guess we're going to change up again. Come back, I walk, come back to the garage, I start lifting weights, I start doing curls. Oh, fuck, I'm bored. Sometimes none of it works out. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is honestly tell yourself that it's okay. You showed up, and that's all that fucking matters.
Absolutely.
Look at yourself in the mirror and literally go, but you still moved your body, and that's all that matters. I know it wasn't satisfying. I know it wasn't.
When you talk about the mirror, we listened to that other podcast.
Yes, Aware and Aggravated.
Can you summarize like what he said about talking to the person in the mirror?
Of course.
Because I think that is something that like a lot of neurodivergent people can absolutely relate to.
Benefit from as well. So Leo Skepi, he is the host of Aware and Aggravated. It's a great podcast. This is, I forget exactly what the name of this episode is, but we'll link it down. He talks about being lonely, and one of the tactics that he does is he looks at himself in the mirror and almost talks at himself in a third person point of view, where he looks at himself in the mirror and goes, see, like, I'm really tired and I don't want to go to the gym. Then he looks at his reflection and goes, but he's really tired and he's going. So God damn it, that means I have to go.
Yeah.
Which is so valid. Have more conversations with yourself.
Absolutely. Like, I do that a lot. Like, she'll hear me, like, talking. I posted up a
story.
Yeah, where I was, like, literally out loud negotiating with myself about the fact that I was like, you can eat when you're done with this.
I do that when I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
At work, I go, like, people can hear me, like, inhale, exhale, and go, it's okay. Tomorrow will be easier. You just got to ride it through today. Just keep talking to yourself.
Yeah.
It works.
And look at yourself, because even if you're someone that struggles with like looking in the mirror, like that means you need to spend more time looking at yourself.
100%.
Because you are amazing exactly as you are. And the more you can love that person in the mirror, and the more you can be like, you know what? that bitch is showing up. She's tired, but she's going to go to the gym right now because she knows it's going to make you feel better. And to touch on that a little bit as well, like one of my favorite things about that when you are, sorry, we're talking about the gym a bunch if you guys are not gym people. But one of the things that I do love about street parking, which is the program we do, is that they talk a lot about fitness freedom. So that's what she was saying. That's where like when when you're like, hey, I can't get into this. And like for me, oftentimes that looks like I go to like do a movement and I'm like, this is like, for me, it's not that it's like boring. It's that on those days, that particular movement is really hard.
It could be anything. It could be like, this is like hurting me, or like this is blowing me up in a way that it shouldn't.
Yeah, like emotionally, this is not feeling good. It's making me feel less than.
Physically, my body is like not having a good time doing this, even though I've done it a million times before. Yeah.
And so then what I will do is I will be like, okay, cool. The clock is running. So you have to put on 2 of your favorite songs and you wiggle around for 2 of your favorite songs. And then if you decide you want to work out, awesome. If you don't want to work out, you know what? You wiggled and moved and like just because we talk a lot about that. It's like getting the wiggles out because I, like a puppy, because I have ADHD, I get the wigs really bad and they happen sporadically. And I am really fortunate that I'm in a household where it's really safe for me to do that. Like as a child, it wasn't. So as a child, like I would have to go to my room and then like do jumping jacks and stuff, but try to do it quietly. Whereas now as an adult, she'll come in and I will and I'm sure if you guys follow her or you follow us on Tattoo Homewrecker, she posts up fucking stories where like I'm literally standing on our rings in the gym or I'm just running around in circles. Because I am at a point now where I don't judge whatever happens with the wigs. It is the same exact thing that your dog gets with the zoomies. And just as much as you love when your dog gets zoomies, other people love when you get zoomies.
Absolutely.
I've never seen somebody that's like running around and hyper and I'm like, fucking shit. And so I see it as I'm like, fuck it. And then they see it as like a way of like, I'm going to pull out the camera because this is hilarious. And it usually lasts like when I give into those urges, it also helps regulate me, like emotionally, mentally, like it makes me feel much better. And when I fight those urges is when I'll start to get really angry and then I'll start picking fights because I need that release. So giving into those, and whether that looks like dancing to your favorite songs, or in my case, dancing to literally one Whitney Houston song over and over again, or just literally running in circles around the gym, or just like pretending to be a ballerina, because she'll say that happens a lot too, where I just pretend to be a ballerina.
I love it.
And I'll like just do that. And so you have to find whatever feels good for your body and like what makes you feel good. For me, sometimes that looks like pretending to be an interpretive dancer. And I yell at Caboose to be like, you have to tell me what dance move I have to do. And then I have to interpret it dance.
It's so fucking funny. We gotta get that out on the internet. It's hilarious.
But like, it is really just being like, the more you embrace your neurodivergence, the more people you will find like you.
Yes.
And it's genuinely true. And if someone's like, hey, I don't like that because that's weird to me, fuck it. I guarantee there are thousands of people out there who will love that part of you.
And stand by you on that. And also, again, when things get hard, like I think it's really easy to fall into this pit trap of like, God damn it, like I really wish I just wasn't neurodivergent, or I wasn't blah, 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 blah. And I get what it feels like spiraling down that hole. I wish that I didn't have ADHD. I wish that I didn't have a traumatic past. I wish that blah, blah, blah. You know, all this shit just compounds when you're having a hard time doing something that looks healthy or is quote unquote easier for other people. It's super easy to fall down that rabbit hole. But let me tell you this, it just makes it harder to do those things. Again, it's almost that negative reinforcement. Again, find time to forgive yourself. Find time to say and acknowledge too, because I don't believe in toxic positivity. Find time to acknowledge, this is really hard for me. And look at yourself in the mirror. This is really hard for her or him, but they're still doing it. And I'm proud of them, which therefore means I'm proud of fucking me.
Yep.
It's okay that things are hard.
And
give
then,
yourself that release.
Just to expand on that a little bit, the reason why it's easy to get into that negative mindset is that we know a lot of like ADHD is a trauma response.
Yeah.
So the reason it's really easy to get in that negative mindset is because you were taught that. That is the first language that you were taught, was negativity. But just like you don't have to parent your own kids that way, you can reparent yourself, which is what that talking in the mirror is it's reparenting. And are you going to nail it every time? Absolutely not. Sometimes I'm like, God damn it, Lou, get your shit together. And then I'm like, whoa. We wouldn't talk to Callie like that.
No.
And then I'll have to be like, hey, I know you're tired and I will give you a piece of candy when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you deserve it and you are worthy of it. And if you need a piece of candy to get through whatever you're doing that's difficult, you can have that right now.
Yep.
And then I'll even give you an extra one at the end. Or like whatever it is where I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm looking forward to taking the dogs on a walk. That's my reward. Like whatever it is, but rewarding yourself. And then you will start to lose those things, because I operated from a place of like self-hatred and shame for a very long time. Yeah. And honestly, I'm much healthier physically now with a lot less consequences of like, hey, I have to be like really rigid in my diet. Then I'm like, oh shit, because I'm learning to like reparent myself. I'm learning to feel my body, to trust my body. Mm-hmm. And then also having safe people around. Like I am really big on boundaries of like, if you make me feel like shit for like getting the zoomies, then like fuck off. I don't want to know you.
100%.
And like just being really understanding about the fact that that was your first language. So now you're having to reteach yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's where that grace comes in of like, yeah, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to fuck it up. But don't worry about it. It's okay to
stumble because you're still on that journey. For the first time after my 2-week hiatus of the gym, I worked out in the garage. And it's crazy because I used to get off of these hiatuses and then work out and then still beat myself up. I would still fall into shame because I'm like, I should have been doing that this entire time. For the first time, I looked at myself and said, nice, you're on the right track. You got back on it. Good job. Praise goes a long way. It really does go a long way, especially for people with like any kind of trauma, familial or what have you. So,
and then I guess the last thing I want to build from that is that like accountability helps when you have other people as well.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like once again, if you follow me on social media, you'll see that like I will be tagging people to do this one. I'll be tagging people to do that because I am very much community based. Like that part of like my humanity of like being connected to other people is massive.
Yep.
So if you're just like, hey, purely do this for yourself, I'll fall off the wagon a lot more times than if I'm doing it for other people. Mm-hmm. But if I'm like, oh, hey, we're all doing a squat program right now because our friend Chloe was like, hey, I'm going to do this. You guys interested? And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
What a hero. I would not have done it if it wasn't for her. So shout out Chloe. Thank you.
That's how I felt about that fucking horrible bike exercise from Rachel.
Oh,
that was just like bike intervals and it was horrendous, but it was great because we were in it together. So finding that accountability with people. And then I guess my last little bit on that is that if you, like me, look for other people as well as yourself to find validation and accountability, some people are going to fall off and you're just going to keep finding new people. Mm-hmm. So you know what? If like your friends stop going to the gym with you, do not give up. Find a new friend to go to the gym with. I've been through so many gym buddies because of that. And I used to feel really shitty about it because everyone's like, oh my God, you just like can't keep friends. And I'm like, they stopped coming.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know what to tell you.
But you know what? Somebody else is always looking for that motivation as well and that accountability. So you can do it together. And just keep finding people over and over again because you are going to also help new people. Yep. So if your buddy's like, oh, fuck it, I'm done, let them be done. That's their own journey.
That doesn't have to be yours.
Go find someone for you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Iconic. Love it. Okay, I think that was it. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about as far as building habits?
No, I think that's great. But if you guys have any other questions, if you're like, fuck, I really wish you would have covered this.
Yes.
Please reach out. We absolutely love those.
Please, because this really helped. Because we genuinely did not know what the fuck we were going to talk about. And this message truly was a game changer. Yeah. So we would love to hear your guys' stuff. Please DM us. Email us if you like. You know all of our socials at this point.
Yep.
They'll be in the description if not. But I guess we should end with what was your win for the week?
Ooh, my win for the week was I scheduled for us to hang out with our friends. Okay. I'm really bad about scheduling with people, you guys.
I'm super bad at it too.
And like made plans. So we are going to go float the river with our friends on Sunday. And so I'm like specifically scheduling it to be a full day off where I'm not like doing orders for the shop. I'm doing nothing. Yeah. We don't have to worry about the podcast now. So then like I get to just have an actual day to relax.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm proud of us.
Building in relaxation.
I'm proud of us.
What is your win for the week?
My win for the week is asking you to record tonight. Nice. Because I genuinely was like, fuck, like I really want to go to my cousin's house tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I know that we have to record, and I honestly don't want to worry about it, but I know that she's tired, but like hopefully we'll be able to pull through. And then I was big on like no pressure, but you know, I did get invited. And so I'm really proud of myself because it felt very vulnerable and brave. And I'm happy that we did this because now both of you and I get to enjoy our weekend. So fuck yeah.
It's great.
All right,
guys. So we will see you back next week. And we love you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week.
Love you guys.
Bye.
See ya.